Now, as you probably know, Guild Wars never really had mounts, and I, as a Guild Wars player, never really cared about mounts. That was until Path of Fire, where the devs did finally add them, and I gotta say, it's really swept me away. It's let me and helped me understand why people enjoy them so much in other MMOs, and we've kind of entered a new era for this one, where many of us are consistently wondering about what future skins might be upcoming, or new mounts entirely indeed. So I wanted to start having little spotlight videos showing off any mounts the devs might add and talking a little bit about their capabilities, particularly because some of the later ones to have released with the Path of Fire expansion are really damn cool. So let's kick it off with the first of them. We'll go through the original 4 quite quickly here, and this original one I know a lot of you might not be too interested in since we can acquire it very early in the expansion, but let's talk today about the Raptor.
Well, if you got some fish, crab, or even cave beast meat, I'm sure that raptor would appreciate a morsel. Ugh, not sure how even a raptor can stomach those disgusting cave beasts.
So this is the first mount available in POF, and in terms of usage, and remember all Guild Wars 2 mounts have very specific gameplay purposes and use cases, this guy is kind of your general adventuring companion. He's one of the fastest mounts for you to travel around on, particularly when you consider his special ability for general purpose terrain, when you don't have a lot of height that you can jump off of, and things like that. There are other mounts that can move faster, but we'll have to talk about them later. The other reason why this guy is kind of your general purpose mount is because of his special combat ability, which we'll have a bit of a look at in just a second. So this is generally what he looks like. We did see in the previous expansion some enemies riding around on raptors, and I think that little seed there we saw 2 years ago might have encouraged the devs, or maybe even the player base alike, to really enjoy the idea of riding around on one of them for ourselves. So he's quite, in terms of size, one of the smaller mounts, would you believe it? I think only one mount is smaller than this guy, and the other ones are really actually quite big, and he's generally very dog-like. As you can see, he's trying to shake us off here, and our player character's like, what the hell, man? That's one of the more interesting idle animations that the devs have done. If we walk on a raptor, it's about the same speed as, what is this, like a walk on our player character, maybe halfway between a walk and a run, regularly speaking. But if we toggle off walk, and I really like this animation, by the way. I want these videos to proper dive into the quality that you get out of these, so they'll be a bit slower paced. But then if we decide that we want to run, this is the speed that we move at. Now, when the demos came out for Path of Fire, people were questioning whether this was really that quick, whether this was much of movement speed. It really genuinely is. So here on screen, you'll see me riding around on a raptor back in Core Story, some earlier Guild Wars stuff that came out in 2012, areas that came out even later than that, but that we're mostly used to wandering around on foot. And you'll see, of course, that this is ridiculous speed and gets you to traverse maps very fast. Particularly riding around on this guy in like these Queensdale areas is a very weird experience for me because, of course, these were the first places I explored and experienced in Guild Wars 2. So anyway, back to the deserts. When you get to the desert, obviously everything's a lot bigger. These maps are enormous, and for that reason, the extra speed you get might feel like it's somewhat nullified. Like that bridge we just ran across is actually a honking massive bridge, but we don't get to appreciate it because we kind of running around on the Raptor immediately, and we don't know what the on-foot experience often is like. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking you to the Raptor Ranch. So where we acquire this guy, out of all the mounts, is quite special. You actually get this mount initially in a story instance. He is given to you for free by the people of this village after you save them from an attack at the very beginning of the story. Most mounts in Guild Wars 2 you don't get as a part of story instances. You get perhaps in conjunction with the plot, but just regularly in open world after helping people out. However, there is an interesting part of this, though. If you return after the story instance, once you've had your raptor for free, you can return to the ranch where you'll see they have many different raptors around.
Raptors love fireflies. See how many you can catch together. You may need more training to reach the ones up higher, but no worries.
You can help to feed your own raptor by feeding them fireflies that are running around here. And you can also help deal with the other raptors that are on the ranch. This is obviously not the only animals that they have. And by doing this, you can get like a treat that you can feed your raptor once per day, which gives you a ton of experience. So the other really special and particular thing about the raptor is, and all mounts, is they have a special movement ability. For the raptor, this is a very long distance leap. So I'll show you what this looks like. For my keybinds, I just press the spacebar as I'm running around, and it will trigger it. So as you can see, we can jump all the way across this bridge here, and we'll go back again. So you use this a lot in the expansion in order to travel around places that you otherwise shouldn't be able to get to. So like on foot, very few, if any, combat ability would ever get you over there. You couldn't teleport over there. You couldn't use like many launches and things. Maybe rocket boots on an engineer would get you there. But when you have a raptor, it's actually a pretty trivial task to just press space and across you go. So this is another reason why this is, generally speaking, one of the fastest sort of wide distance travelers. On any terrain, you can charge around, making these incredible leaps, and for as long as we're at this ranch, eating fireflies as we go. So we can hop our way over this, grabbing fireflies entirely as we go. So you'll notice, by the way, that with each mount, when you use your special movement ability, it affects your endurance meter. So this is actually my mount's endurance. They should have changed the user interface, in my opinion, to represent that. Like, this is my mount's health as well. 7,000 health is my mount's health. My health is 14,000. The mount has 7,000. But this is his endurance, and he uses this not to dodge roll. Mounts don't dodge, as players dodge. Instead, mounts have their special thing. So for the raptor, that means whenever I execute this long leap, you'll see it actually drains 50% of the endurance meter, or for as long as I'm holding the button down. I could do a little one and it won't drain all of it, right? And so the raptor can kind of do 2 of these long leaps, which is why you can see that there's 2 segments to this endurance meter, and the later mounts will have a slightly different situation for themselves. So in addition to that ability, there's also a combat ability. That's represented here by the skill 1. So you can fight with mounts, but the devs don't want that to become everything that combat is. And so when you use a mount ability like this, it dismounts you straight away, so you get back to regular combat. So for the raptor, finally, one big other thing that means this is a good general purpose mount is his special ability is a leap to a location that sucks enemies in like a vortex. So I'll demonstrate this somewhere away from crabs that will instantly block everything. Here's this cave screamer, right? So I'm going to jump near the cave screamer, and we'll pull it into our location, right? So if you have a selection of enemies, like these 3 cave screamers here, and I leap at them all, they all get pulled right into me, and I can knock them down, and then I can blow them up in whatever way I see fit with my regular skills. And what this means is for escort events and all kinds of stuff out in the open world, the players that are by default running around on raptors are helping to ball enemies up and, you know, set them up for quick kills from the other players. So there we can use our combat ability and then our combat one to jump across a gap and run straight in and blow up, you know, whatever enemies we have in the area. So back at the ranch here, they actually give you credit at the ranch for managing to hit these crabs, which is genuinely a really quick way of doing the heart every day instead of having to eat all of those fireflies. So as you can see there, I just managed to finish it immediately. But there are a couple of other things to talk about. So first are masteries. So in order to fully power this thing, you need to get mastery points around the desert and then train with experience. So first of all, we learn how to get our combat ability to do increased damage. Then we get it to pull people in. Then we get super long jumps. When you initially get the Raptor, it's not as powerful as you've been seeing in this video. And finally, we share that capability for our combat ability to do more damage to all the other mounts we will get later in the expansion. After that, you might also want to look at dying. So this is the way that dying the Raptor looks and feels. In fact, I'll get on the Raptor as well. So you get a little preview up here. If I want to go with a red Raptor, for example, I can make him red. And you'll see that his coloring changes. You only get one like broad color to put across the entire mount. Perhaps later we'll get opportunity to do more. But there, so you can see that checking out there. We have a very black shadow abyss. So this is a very dark color. And then finally, we have my favorite, which is obviously the permafrost dye, which is going white. So there you have it, guys. That's my little spotlight on the Raptor. Stay tuned. I will do spotlight on the other upcoming ones. Again, I appreciate this video might have been slightly more boring than the others, because many of us are more than familiar with the Raptor at this point. But later, we will see some pretty friggin' fantastic stuff, starting with the bunny kangaroo. Let's do it.